Hello, Michael, and welcome to the Trail Runners Association of Hong Kong and China podcast.
You're getting better each week, or each time, I should say. Yeah.
My greeting to Chang was completely fluffed, and I was going to edit it out, but then I thought, oh, I'll leave it in to give people a laugh. So, how are you?
I'm doing good, surviving the heat here in Hong Kong, doing some good training these days, and just trying to stay active still.
Yeah, good. We better not chat too much before we bring Chang into the studio, but I was thinking maybe we could give a bit of introduction to Western States and Chang for people who are not familiar with one of those.
Yeah, Western States. So I'm from America. I'm American, and while people may argue this, I think there's three big races which are hard to get into. They're kind of epic races in the U.S. that are like 100-mile races. Western States is the oldest of them, and many say the first 100-miler ever, I think, started in the 70s with some guy, his horse, I think, stopped, didn't cooperate or something, so decided to run the route, or you may know more about the history. Then there's Hard Rock, which is up in the mountains in high elevation in Colorado, which Chang has also done. And then there's Badwater, which is through the desert. What's it called? I just went blank. But the hottest part of the U.S.
Death Valley.
Death Valley. Thank you. And with an epic climb at the end as well. And all three of those are very hard to get into. Some people have to wait 10 years to get in through the lottery. I think Chang waited close to 10 years for Western States, and similar for Hard Rock. So he seems to love the heat. So I was going to maybe mention to him when I see him next time, hey, why not go for some Badwater as well? But Western States is kind of one of the most famous ones, and I think one of the hardest to get into.
Yeah, and I think one reason it's hard to get into is because they offer automatic places to the top 10 to come back the next year, and so they have a lot of repeats who do it year after year, right?
Yeah, but there's I think there's 300 and something people that they let in to that race, where Hard Rock, it's under 200. I think it's like 150, 160, and Badwater is quite low. Badwater is similar, I think. So Western States does have more slots. Yeah, I think there's rules on the trails and some of the things, like how many rescue people you need and how many people are allowed on the trails and things like that. So Western States actually has a bit more than the other two, but small compared to obviously things like UTMB and Hong Kong 100, which have over 1,000 participants in each.
Yeah, and have you ever tried to get into to any of those races yourself, or done any?
Yeah, I tried for Hard Rock and Western States for 2 or 3 years and didn't get in. Of course, the way the ballots work is you get an exponential multiplier every time you apply. So the first year you get 1 slot, second year 2, then 4, then 8, then 16, then 32. So people that apply more have a much better chance getting in. So when you're applying the first 2, 3, 4 years, it's almost zero chance to get in. It's more about building the multiplier so you can eventually get to 16, 32, even 100, over 100 tickets. But then I didn't have qualifying races actually because of COVID and some other, I was more focusing on 4 trails and things like that. So I haven't applied, and I think you have to start over if you don't do it consecutive years. It's a long ways away if I ever get into one of those.
Yeah, I almost broke down in a car in Death Valley because my family's camper van almost ran out of petrol, and it was a bit worrying to be somewhere to be stranded. And it was 4th of July, and so we were worried about lack of rescue services wanting to come out and rescue us on the 4th of July.
Yeah, that's not a good place to break down. It's not a good place. No, not at all.
Yeah. So didn't Chang have an amazing race? I think he did show that he's very good in heat from his performance, right?
Yeah, Chang's incredible. I saw him actually, he makes a reference of doing the Tai Mo Shan repeats, not to spoil it for people, but I did see him out doing some training once where I was just like suffering, and he was just got some water and was running right back up Tai Mo Shan, like the heat was nothing to him. So yeah, I think he's pretty special in the hot weather. Of course, he suffers like the rest of us, but I think he's able to push through a little bit more, and need to figure out how he does that.
Yeah, and he finished second in the over 50 category, and which is just amazing with that field.
And the first place was somebody really well known too.
Jeff Browning.
Yeah. He's won some of the 200-mile races, I think, or finished top three in a couple of the 200-mile races. So he's, yeah. So that's no slouch to finish second to. And I think third place was quite a bit behind him as well. So he had a really, really impressive performance.
Yeah, and I think that was his 17th miler from what I could count from the
Wow.
DUV yesterday. And, he's getting close to... he could do what Tomo's trying to do with his 100 milers in his lifetime.
Tomo just did number 80 in Colorado, Outre, finished, I think, fifth overall for his 80.
I know oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Chang's done more than 70, including personal challenges and virtual things.
That's true too.
He did a lot of crazy things during the pandemic, like he likes to do this 4 sunset challenges as well, where he goes up Sunset Peak 4 different ways in the middle of the summer, and he's quite special.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's amazing. It seems to be getting stronger as he gets older, which is inspiring as well. That gives us all hope.
Yeah, it's very inspiring. I mean, he talks about how he's inspired by Killian, and I think Chang is just as inspiring, especially because he's somebody that we can run into on a regular basis. We're unlikely to run into Killian on a regular basis. So.
Yeah, not as likely. Chang's a great guy.
Yeah, anyway, let's get in Chang. Hello, Chang. How are you today?
Hi, Jenny. I'm okay, thank you. How about you?
Welcome. Yeah, I'm good. Welcome to the Trail Runners Association. Sorry, let me start that again. Welcome to the TRAHK podcast. And how are you recovering from your big race?
I'm doing fine, thank you. And thank you for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to have this nice chat about the race. As you know, I'm always very happy to talk about trail running and races. On the recovery, I'm feeling a little bit better now after this is my second week. The first week, I was really tired, you can imagine. So the first 3-4 days, I had sore muscles, especially the second day. I was feeling a little bit more, and then slowly I did some very short hikes with my family, because right after the race we went to visit the Yosemite Park, so we did some short walks here and there. So now now that I'm back to Hong Kong, this is just over the second week, and I'm slowly getting back into it. Yeah.
So you've been doing some proper runs. Do you feel almost back to normal yet?
So I landed in the morning, and then I had lunch, and just to fight the jet lag, because I'm coming from California, there's a 16-hour difference. I didn't want to fall asleep, so I went out for a run just to stretch the legs. And although my intention was to run slowly, I really felt, I guess the fact that I just flew a long flight, I was tired, the humidity. So around after 6-7K, I really struggled breathing. There was a small hill. I really felt it on the, not so much being tired on the legs, but my breathing, my heart rate was very high, and I had to really slow down. So that was my first run. And then over the week, I did some yoga as usual to stretch. And then I did a second run on Wednesday. After we had the Joint Dynamics Gone Running team training session. And after that, I did a 7K run back home, and that felt a little bit better.
Great, yeah. Well, 100 miles takes a lot out of your body, especially doing a very fast 100 miles that you did. So maybe you can tell us about the race. I know you finished 32nd male and second in your age category, which is just phenomenal. And everyone that knows you is super proud of you. How do you feel about it looking back?
Yeah, thank you for your comments. Fast, not fast. Yeah, I think it's a good time, I guess, for me. The race, amazing experience. As you know, this race is considered, one can say, the Super Bowl for people familiar with the American football, especially for Americans. I mean, using the example I hear there when I was in the States, it's like the Super Bowl equivalent of trail running for in the US. I think it just went so fast. Once you get there, all the build up, the preparation slowly comes to it, and then once the gun starts, you start running, and the motion starts to to go a bit too fast, and then suddenly you are on the finish line. So it's almost like, yeah, you want to enjoy the whole race, but you don't enjoy because it's like you go to sleep and you wake up and you are already in the finish line, right? Having said that, through the race, you do struggle. I can say I posted on my Strava. It's a race that where you really need to run compared to other races, 100-mile races, the big 100-mile races. This has much less elevation, half of it, only 5,000 meters elevation, about 5,300 meter cumulative elevation, and you start right from the beginning. You climb about 800 meters, and then after that, you start to run downhill for good 20, 30K, and then you reach Robinson Flat, which is a major checkpoint, and after that you have what is called the canyons, and then you have 2 or 3 big climbs for this race, big 300, 400, actually 400, 500-meter climb. And the particular thing about this section is that it's right in the you're transversing, going through right in the middle of the day, towards the mid-afternoon, towards 3, 4 p.m., and that's when the sun is hitting its peak and it's uncovered, so you're exposed pretty much. And I mean, this is the part that everyone is kind of very concerned, and that's when the ice necklace, how you call it?
Bandana.
Bandana, exactly. That's where it comes very handy because, and it's very helpful that pretty much all the checkpoints, they're well prepared and they have ice for you. And then once you traverse that, then you have the last 60 Ks flattish with a lot of rolling hills, and you have to run, so it's run, run, and run. So, which is very difficult to keep it consistent. Of course, you can hike or you can walk, right? It's up to everyone's objective and the target that each one wants to meet. But if you want to do a pretty decent time, you need to really run non-stop consistently, right? So I think that's really the difficult part for me. UTMB, Grand Raid Pyrenees, or many of these 100-mile races I've done, you go up 1,000 meters, you go down another 1,000 meters, and then you can take the pacing a little bit differently, right?
So how was the heat compared to your training in Hong Kong? And obviously you did a lot of long runs in the heat in the lead up, but how did that prepare you for the conditions over there?
So I think the fact that I trained in Hong Kong, as you know, here is super humid. It does help you be prepared for the heat, but eventually it does hit you. It comes to you. I can tell because towards the first section before reaching Robinson Flat, which is about 50 Ks, I could see many of the runners that were in front of me or I was overtaking. I could see their body, the pants all wet, classic, right? When you're sweating a lot, and I was actually quite dry, but it doesn't mean I wasn't sweating, but I was sweating less than the rest. So that tells you a little bit. In that sense, I was the first half of the day, I was doing a little bit better, but eventually you're still sweating, and actually it can be a bit more dangerous because you think you're not struggling and you are drinking maybe less water. Actually, to the point just before reaching Robinson Flat, I ran out of water and I suddenly was feeling super weak, and I was really counting every meter to make it to the checkpoint where my family, that was a major checkpoint, Robinson Flat, and my family was waiting for me. And as soon as I saw them, I just didn't even say hi or anything. I just throw me water because it was just building up on me. Cold splash of water kind of woke me up, and I was feeling better after that. Yeah. But then, as you get into the canyons after the second part of the day, it still hits you quite badly, I would say.
Yeah, so you mentioned your family were there at the checkpoints. Was all your crew family, including paces?
Yeah, so I got my daughters. They are studying in Spain, so I flew them over to come and be part of the crew. And then my wife and my youngest son, Unai, we flew together. And my brother, he lives in California, so he was also part of the crew, and they were all waiting for me at Robinson Flat. Actually, it's amazing because I'm used to run these long races on my own, but having your family, they are waiting for you. It really helps give that special something to see them. They are waiting for you. I think it's very important.
Yeah, you're lucky to have such a strong runner as a wife, or maybe not. Maybe you made your own luck there, but I know that I know as a good pacer because the two of you overtook me during the Hong Kong 100 once. Do you remember where she was pacing you? You
Yes,
started a lot. You started a long time after me, and then came past me
yes.
during the virtual race.
Ah, that was a virtual race, right? Yes, I remember. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the idea was for Ainhoa to start at the 60-mile point. That's on Michigan Bluff. That's another major point where you can start having pacers. So that's the second half almost, 90 something, 95K checkpoint. So once you're going through the canyons, it's very hot and you're struggling and having that, the notion that your wife is waiting for you to start, that gives you that extra push. I think it's very important and it really helped me, to be honest. And yeah, I'm very fortunate that she was there and we ran, I think she ran about 30K with me. And yeah, it's very important because if you were on your own, at that point you are in the race, you are almost on your own. And having somebody with strong legs helps you keep a constant velocity or pace, so you don't automatically slow down.
I saw also that your kids were able to run with you from the finish. Did they run all the way from Roby's Point with you?
Yes, that's right. So actually, the intention was for them to wait for me at Robin's Point, but there was a little bit of because it's not easy to get there. You cannot park the car there, so they got a bit lost. But eventually, so they couldn't find Robbie's Point, but they waited halfway from Robbie's Point and the finish line, so they were waiting for me there. Yeah, and that was actually the most special part of the race because I really wanted to cross the finish line with them. And then I was throughout the last sections as I was realizing that I was missing my original target. I told them I would be there by between midnight and 1 a.m., latest 1 a.m. And then I was looking at my watch and I was, I was 1 hour and a half behind my schedule, so I knew I was going to miss that. And then you don't know whether they will fall asleep in the car waiting for me. So that the whole thought process was really nagging me. And then suddenly, as I reach Robbie's Point and I don't see them, that kind of put me down, but I also understand the situation. I wouldn't be surprised that it's normal, you can fall asleep. So that was super special surprise because, yeah, so when I reached to Robbie's Point, they were not there. I was a bit down. But then, what can you do? Because it was about 2 a.m. already. And then as I was getting throughout the halfway to the finish line, the guys broadcasting live, they were waiting for finishers and they said, are you okay to film you? And yes, of course, I'm more than happy. And as we started to run towards the finish, I see them waiting for me and that kind of wake you up again and you start running. So that was really a special moment, yes.
Yeah, running around the track with all the crowds and everything must have been so cool. Were there still quite a lot of people there cheering at that time of night? It was hard to tell from the live stream.
No, not really, because yeah, so it's at 2 in the morning. Not that many, but there were still a few people. And actually, well, I don't know if you remember an ex-DB resident, Christina Fuji. Do you remember her? So she
Yeah,
was
of course.
waiting for me there. She lives in Colorado, or very near the race area. And so she did came in the morning because she knew I was coming. I think she wanted to see Killian. She wanted to see the event. So actually, she was there early in the morning at Olympic Valley at the top of the first climb I mentioned. And then at the finish, at 2 in the morning, she was there with the kids. So that was also nice to see her. Yeah. So not many people, but she was there. It's good to see people from Hong Kong.
Yeah, brilliant. And so speaking of Killian, I saw you managed to get the all-important selfie with Killian, and did you manage to have a chat with him as well?
Yes, yes. So towards the finish, after the ceremony of the belt, where you know all the prize giving and all that, I didn't want to go and bug him. But as we finished the ceremony, and I was kind of fortunate that the age group, kind of top age group people that finished just before 22 hours and 30 minutes were called up earlier, and they were giving the belt, the buckle, and a special kind of package with some a painting, a very nice painting with your handwritten time and your position on your age group. Actually, it's quite nice painting. And so I was let go earlier. So as I was leaving the place, Killian just happened to have parked his car near where we had our car. So I said, I mean, I will take the opportunity to go and handshake with him because I saw him on the starting line, of course, just briefly, but I didn't want to back him at that point, right? So it's just a coincidence. I saw him. We went to with Ainhoa and the kids. We went to say hi, congratulate him, and we did have a little bit of exchange. Actually, I asked him whether he remembered me because I did meet him 3 years ago at Hard Rock. Back then, I did go to him and I introduced myself and we exchanged a bit of chit chat. And because I can speak Spanish, as you know, he's Spanish and he was a bit surprised. And of course, he didn't remember. But then I told him, we met in Hard Rock and he was he's super humble, you know, and he's very open. He asked me, how did I go? And we both complained about the heat. And then he shared he was very happy with the result.
Yeah, it was amazing to see that he ran so much faster than his previous winning times. But it seems like everybody got faster. So he only got third place, even though he did over an hour faster than his 2011 winning time, right?
That's right. That's right. So I mean, he ran about an hour and 10, 15 minutes faster than his winning time in 2011. But you have to remember, it's still a major accomplishment because he's 14 years older, and yet he showed everyone that you can still improve your time, right? So I think he shared in his one of his posts on YouTube that he's a better athlete. Back then in the days, he would just go show up and run races, and now he's a better athlete in the sense that he's more structured, he's training purposely with very specific programs, and that just shows the result. It's just amazing, actually, right? And very inspiring.
Yeah, great. So, how did your training go in Hong Kong for this event? Because although it's good for the heat training, it must be quite hard to get in high mileage with the conditions in Hong Kong in May and June. I think May was especially hot this year.
No, actually, no, it wasn't that hot. I missed to mention this earlier when we were talking about the heat. I was really looking forward the classic Hong Kong super hot, humid weekends, but maybe it was during the weekdays. And during weekdays, unfortunately, I cannot train much because I have a real job. So unfortunately, on the weekends during May and June, it was kind of cool. We had some special 2 months, you know. It wasn't the usual super hot and humid days. Only the last 2 weekends before the race, it got a bit that classic humidity, which I took the opportunity to do some long runs. So unfortunately, it wasn't that, yes, but anyway, but coming back to your question, I did change a little bit my training I don't have a coach or anything. I just do by, kind of finger in the air. I structure my training a little bit, what I can do, and with a little bit of what I know, which is what I've been doing for the last 14, 15 years since I've been doing this. But for this race, I did prepare especially focusing on running because I knew you really had to run, run, and run. And thanks to Esther, I think you know Esther, she's done it twice already, and she recommended me some routes, and I really appreciate her input and suggestion and the courses that I should focus on. And I built some loops around Lantau, very much focused on road running, and then more on the distance and a lot of running, rolling hills running, good 40K, 50K. And that I was doing that on a weekend, and then the other weekend I would focus on time motion repeats, going from the bottom, from the MTR station all the way up to time motion, running up, and then down to landmine pass and back and forth, and doing a couple of repeats. So the last 3 months I've been focusing just only on doing only these two things on the weekends. So this was my long distance session, weekend in, weekend out. It got boring at some point, but I wanted to keep that consistency. One weekend, a loop in Lantau. One weekend, doing time motion repeats for good 6 hours, 5 to 7 hours, depending on the day. And I think that helped me. And I remember the first time I did the whole loop around Lantau, I really struggled after coming back from Tayo to Muyo by the road, because it's so much running on concrete, and I'm not used to runs on concrete. I really felt on the hips. I really struggled to make it, and I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm gonna be able to do this. But then I came back the second weekend after, and then eventually got better, and I got faster, a little bit faster by half an hour, 45 minutes from the first time. And I was able to complete the loop without, the pain on the hip and this kind of.
So your body adapted. That's good.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So you mentioned hard rock. So you're probably one of not very many Hong Kong-based runners who have done hard rock and Western States. If you could do one of them again, which one would you choose?
So that's a difficult question. I would like to do both. That's a simple answer. And now, which one I would like to do first, because it's more fresh in my memory. Now I would like to go back to Western States. I think I can still I can still make it to my original target, 20 hours. And now that I know a little bit the course, I think I spend a little bit too much time on certain checkpoints. I can squeeze in some, spend less time here and there. And also by changing a little bit on the pacing at the beginning, I think maybe I started a little bit too conservatively slow. Because you don't know what you're getting into. So by prudence, I really started maybe a bit too slow. So I would like to go back to Western States. Additionally, I like personally more elevation. That's why I really want to go back to hard rock, which I also didn't meet my target, and I also want to go back and try to beat my time. Normally, I always do this. I try to do the race at least two times because I always miss my original target. So then I would like to go back and beat my expectations. Normally, most of the races I try to do at least twice. So hard rock, I want to come back, and I really appreciate. Again, I like long climbs, lot of elevation, and hard rock is over 10,000 meters, right? Actually, today I was just following hard rock. It just happened to be this weekend, as you know. And I'm remembering those. I can remember, I can believe that you climb those huge mountains. It's over 1,000-meter elevation in one go, which, as you know, in Hong Kong we don't have that opportunity. So I really want to go back and do it. But now that I train a little bit more, especially more on speed and running with Western States, I got back of faster pace, running non-stop. I got that age now, and I would like to come back to Western States first. But let's see next year what happens. As you know, both races are very difficult to get in, and I will again apply for the two of them, and whichever comes first, I'll go back.
Great. I'm really surprised that Killian didn't remember you because he can't meet that many Spanish-speaking Koreans around the world.
But I'm sure he he's meeting so many people all the time. I'm sure it's normal.
I know. And speaking of races that you like to do at least twice, there's one race that you're famous for doing twice and completing under 60 hours twice. Will you consider doing that one again to try and improve your time? And do you think it's possible to improve your time given the new rules?
So yes, so you're talking about the Hong Kong Fort race.
Of course.
Yes, so when people ask me about this race, I always say, actually, I would like to do it again, but then I would like to do it under special circumstances, and that circumstance will be when I leave Hong Kong. I think it will be a very emotional and super special way to say goodbye to Hong Kong, which is a place that I love, my family loves. The day I learned that we are leaving Hong Kong, I think for sure I will try to do it now. And then I also think I've been progressively improving my training, and I think I have improved since last 3 years, I think, or I want to believe I'm a little bit better runner, and I think I can do at least 1 to 2 hours faster, I think. So that question is there. But then, as you very well said, there are a couple of new rules, particularly the one where now you have to go on your own, on foot from the peak in Hong Kong Trail to the ferry pier. That might add a little bit of more of impact on your legs.
Also,
Yeah,
at
so
least it's at least 20. It's at least 20 minutes as well.
that's right, that's right. But that doesn't worry me too much. My biggest my biggest is a kind of point is I'm terrible at navigation. So I attribute myself finishing the 2 times because I was able to use the watch, the GPX, now as you know, Andre removed this the usage of phone or GPS watches. So then I think it will be very, very difficult, really, to be able to navigate without a watch.
You're not too old to learn how to navigate, Chang. If you're still young enough to get faster at running, you can learn how
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
navigate, I think.
yeah. Maybe. But yeah, so that question is there. So long, yeah. But the chances of me getting lost are very high. So the probability of spending time missing a turn, and particularly some of the sections around the Mac and the Wilson, there are many interviewing junctions, and then the moment you take one, you need to undo the way. Well, that's gonna be really painful, and you'll end up spending a lot of time, right? But let's see. Who knows? Maybe Andre will let us use the watch then. Maybe maybe he will change his mind. I don't know.
I'm just seeing if I can see any flying pigs, but I don't see any.
Yes.
So you're famous for doing yoga in the 7-Eleven during the Four Trails movie. So how do you think about yoga as a strategy for strength training and recovery, and maybe also mental focus as well?
I think it's fundamental for especially as you get older, and I'm getting old. That day on the 7-Eleven, I don't think I was on purpose trying to do yoga per se. I really needed to, after 5K or more, there's a point where your legs get super stiff, and I really need to stretch. Yeah. So I was trying to stretch the quads around the hips as I was feeling the tightness. That's what I was doing really. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna do a little bit of yoga to meditate, but I really wanted to stretch the quads at that point. But then talking about yoga, I think because people do ask me, you are never injured, touch wood. I never had a major injury except once 3 years ago where I fell down while coming back down from Lantau Peak in the Lantau 2 peak race where I cracked my back. But other than that injury, I never had like serious injury. Maybe twisting the ankle here and there, but now my ankles are so used to it. I'm pretty flexible. But I do attribute yoga to help me keep, injury free. And the story that I can share is maybe 5, 6 years ago when I started yoga, I was having some pain on my hamstrings. Whenever I was running more than 20K, I started to feel a bit of pressure, like it's pulling the hamstring, particularly on my right leg. And I started to do, I can't remember who recommended me to do more stretching. And I started some yoga sessions just to try. And since then, I don't have that pain anymore. And then, because of that, I started to do once a week. And lately, I started to do even twice a week. And I think that has been helping me a lot, actually. And I recommend to anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to hear. I'm sure there's a lot of yoga fans in the audience as well. Lastly, Chang, I don't want to keep you much longer, but I know you've been working hard on a new app, so maybe you'd like to tell us about that.
Yeah, right. So sure. Thank you for this opportunity to share about this project. It's a little bit of a personal pet project that I've been working for the last 8 months almost. It's an application focused on recovery, but not particularly on nutrition. I think whenever you finish your workout, traditionally people go to the standard off-the-shelf recovery powder or recovery bar or recovery pill. There are different formats, right? Most of them normally powder based, right? But this recovery nutrition, I find it is very standard. I mean, this off-the-shelf products, right, is not geared to your needs. As you know, every runner or athlete is very individual and you have a different body composition, different needs. Some people need more nutrients than others. So this application is really to help you get what are the specific nutrition that you need to intake after your workout to recover properly. So the kind of novelty about the application is that you finish your workout and then it will sync up with your Strava activity and will tell you to recover optimally based on your last workout, because also the distance, the time, the type of activity, all these different variables make a difference, right, on the needs. So it will tell you what are the specific nutrients that you need to take in, and it will recommend you the recipe for you to prepare at home or wherever you are. Right? But then, as you know, we are all very busy working professionals. So I will use the app, but then at home, because I just came back from work and I went for a run, I don't have those ingredients that the application is recommending me. So what do? So the application, you have a pantry scanner. This is the novelty of the application, really, that you can scan your pantry, your fridge, and based on the available ingredients that you have, you will recommend the recipe that most closely gets to the ideal recovery nutrition that you need. So this is really the novelty of the special innovation about the application. So right now I have it on a beta mode. I have few close group of people helping me test. Right now it's on an Android OS for now because it's just easier to deploy. But I'm working on fine-tuning a little bit now to make it available on iOS, available for iPhone, to launch it to more people, to make it work more for more people.
Wow, that sounds really interesting. So are you a software developer yourself, or you're working with a software developer?
Well, I don't have although my background is software development, because of the time and all this, I don't, actually I lost almost the practice of coding. So actually I'm using some developers that are helping me. They're very much believing on the project and they're helping me. I'm working with a couple of guys on the project.
And when do you think it will be ready to launch?
So let's see, but I will do a soft launch probably hopefully after summer when I finish to tweak this initial feedback I'm getting, and then once we fix these small bugs and issues that we are facing, I think maybe in 1 2 months I will publish on iPhone also to very close or selected people, because I want as much feedback as possible at the beginning, and then depending on the progress and the type of problems I encounter, if I can publish by end of the year, that would be great.
Fantastic. So, how can people stay informed about that? Just follow your Instagram, or
Yeah,
what's
they
the
can
best way?
follow me on Instagram. Once it's ready, I will be approaching few people, and then I will be publishing on social when it is ready. Yes.
So, for people who don't know you, are you Chango Run on Instagram as well?
That's right. Chango Run on Instagram,
Yeah.
and it's a public profile, so anybody can just find me there.
Yeah. Great. Well, I really enjoyed hearing a bit about your Western States experience, and I'll let you go and enjoy the rest of the weekend. It's really nice to catch up with you, Chang, and hope to see
Great.
you on trails before too long.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Jenny, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to share my experience. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, welcome back. So, pretty inspiring to hear from Chang, right?
Amazing, amazing. That course, again, I've never run it. I'm familiar with it just because Western States, but I didn't realize he was trying to break 20 hours. I thought breaking 24, you actually get a different belt buckle for breaking 24. So I know 24 is a big milestone, a lot of people. So I was thrilled when he hit like 22 hours. I thought, oh man, that's amazing. For that course, 100 miles and the heat and all that type of stuff, super impressive. But then he's saying he wants to break 20. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, it's good to have, outlandish goals or goals that seem outlandish, and then you might get somewhere close. Then you're doing well. Also, I looked up the results on DV yesterday, and I noticed that in the right-hand column on the DV results, they have a age-adjusted result, and he did break 20 with the age-adjusted result.
Oh, there. Yeah, I don't think he's going to count that though.
Yeah, I sent him a message and he thought that was quite amusing. I thought it was amazing also that he managed to meet Killian not as a random fan in the street, which Killian must have thousands of those, but as a fellow podium winner. That was really great.
Yeah, and busting out the Spanish as well. So I'm sure that makes Killian more comfortable to have a nice long chat with him as well. And yeah, that's pretty cool. Killian's amazing as well. Performance, finished third, but he was almost caught the first two guys. He was getting closer and closer at the end. I think it was another 10, 20 miles. He may have won the thing.
Yeah, and he had an amazing run, and still got it. Age of 38, you're not too old in ultra running.
No,
because
not at all.
People's athletic peak is a bit later than track and field athletes.
Yeah, the guy that just won Hard Rock was what, 48, 49? The French guy that won Hard Rock 2 years in a row. So yeah,
so I know he just talked about his experience running back in Hong Kong and the heat really hitting him, and I think that sounds like everybody's first run back in Hong Kong when you've been somewhere cooler, whether you've run 100 miles or not. It's really crushing when the heat comes back.
It's just so humid, especially when the sun's out and everything. It's just it's torture. But he's still, he says he's suffering, but I think I remember seeing his Strava run, and still every segment was faster than my PB on a cold day. So I didn't have a lot of empathy for his so sluggish. But I think he still does pretty well even when he complains.
Yeah, and he talks about the weather being cooler than usual in May this year. I remember there was one weekend that was a bit cooler, but yeah. He found that the May weather was not hot enough for him.
I look back after I heard that. I look back at my Strava and I saw a run I did in April and I was complaining about the heat, let alone May. So I don't know what he's talking about. I think he's different.
Yeah, he's very good in heat, and yeah, I definitely suffered in May, but it may be because it's the first time I was doing really long runs at that time of the year. Like I normally just take it easy and keep fit and do fun things at that time of the year, but I was trying to make my runs runnable because I'm training for 100k, which is apparently quite runnable course, so I was trying to get long runs mostly runnable rather than hiking. And I found that really hard in the heat and humidity of May this year. Well, especially June was worse.
Yeah, yeah. I've done a couple 50Ks this summer, and I'm dead the next day. I'm actually dead at the end of the run. It's just so hard. You have to slow it down quite a bit. You got to stay cool. I mean, just soaking in streams. And for a while, the streams were very dry. Now they're flowing very nicely, but they were quite dry, so it's very hard to keep yourself cool down. And then you got to make sure you're hydrating enough, and you think you're carrying enough fluids, then you're all of a sudden running out and very thirsty, and you got a long way to the next water supply or drink supply. So yeah, it's a challenge in the summers.
Yeah, it wasn't hot or humid enough for Chang in May this year.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I question that comment.
So Chang says he doesn't have a coach, which is really amazing that he has managed to achieve so much without a coach. Do you think that some people are better off without a coach, or do you think everybody would benefit from a coach except for Courtney Dauwalter, of course?
Yeah, well, Courtney had a coach, I think, and Chang had a coach. So I think it's important to, anytime you're starting out with this stuff, especially if you're getting into these longer months, I think it's critical to have a coach. But I think as you get more and more experience, even myself, not that I'm compared to Chang, but like I was using a coach for quite some time, and then I took a year without one because I think I learned enough and I wanted to kind of set my own schedule. I think I knew what worked for me. I knew my schedule and stuff. But then now I've started to coach again. So I think it really depends on the situation, but starting out, I think it's critical because there's just so much you just don't know about fueling, about should I be doing speed work, about pacing, about nutrition, about rest days, recovery. There's so many aspects to it. I think having someone that you can ask questions to and can build out a plan based on what your schedules are, especially as you're getting into it, is critical to reach your potential. Obviously, you can do it without a coach, there's no issues with that. But I think to be able to become a better runner and to get into these longer distances and potentially flirt with podium in your age group and those types of things, having a coach is critical. But then you get to a point, I think, where you've learned enough. I think it's also nice to kind of go without a coach for a while and build your own plans and structures. And Chang's obviously experienced enough and has enough knowledge to be able to do that. But, I wouldn't be surprised if he, goes back to a coach again in the future, as he continues to try to push 20 hours or some of these types of things. He may feel, hey, if I had a coach, maybe I could have done that a little bit better. Maybe give me that extra 5% more by, having someone that can, help me a little bit more improve my performance.
Yeah, I know Chang works very long hours and might find it hard to fit in a coach's plan. And so I think he prefers to just do what he can when he has the time rather than following a plan, which is understandable. Yeah, I agree with you about coach. It can help the majority of people a lot. I mean, I've learned so much through having a coach, Andy Dubois. I'm one of his back of the pack runners who he coaches to beat cutoffs. And I've learned so much. In fact, I wouldn't be doing this podcast. I wouldn't have the confidence that I knew enough about running to be asking questions of top runners like I've been doing, without having learned so much from him. So thank you, Andy.
Yeah. I used Andy for a while as well, and Andy's fabulous. Yeah, and now I'm using Tomo, who's also fabulous. So yeah, it's nice to be able to, I think, again, if you have a good coach, stick with it. But it's also nice getting different perspectives, I think, from different ones. And again, you continue to learn new things, new ideas, new methods and such like that. And of course, running with Chang, I actually, a couple of times I asked him, hey, can I get 30 minutes of your time just to ask you questions? I have some thoughts about, how you did 4 trails, give me some advice, things like that. And he's always been very, nice in giving up his time to do that. So I think it's also good for runners to, ask them. Most of these people in the trail running community are more than happy to spend 30 minutes, an hour talking about their experiences and giving advice and things like that. So that's another thing that I think people who, are getting into it, reach out to some of these better runners that we have here in Hong Kong. And I'm sure most of them are more than happy to share a coffee and tell stories and give advice.
Yeah, totally. And the other thing I think is great about having a coach is, if you have an individually tailored plan, then they look at what you did in the previous week and I'm like, she found that too easy, so I'll make that harder next week, or the other way around, occasionally.
Yeah, and it makes you accountable to someone as well, right? I know for me, when I was getting started, that was an important thing to, I wasn't so good being accountable to myself. And if I had a coach who was giving me plans, like you said, looking at all the details and analysis and giving you feedback, you felt more accountable to get the workouts in and do them as scripted and so forth.
Yeah, because there's sometimes when I consider, oh, I'll just stay in bed a bit longer, and then I just think, then I'll have to explain why I wasn't able to do the workout with it. It's easier just to get up and do it, right?
Yeah. I've been there. I have been there. 100%.
Yeah, Chang, of course, is a great example of what can be achieved by taking up running later in life. I mean, he was 38 when he did his first ultra, I believe. And yeah, still getting faster, which is really amazing to see, right?
Yeah, a lot of these people seem to be getting, I don't know, I don't feel like I'm getting better with age. I feel like I'm getting more tired and sore and slower. So I got to talk to these guys more. Nikki and Chang and KK and Will Hayward, all these 50 plus, 60 plus in KK's case, amazing runners who seem to be getting stronger and stronger as years go by. It's awesome. It's inspiring.
Well, I think you're getting stronger as well, Michael, but nobody feels strong when you're in the middle of it, like a build phase of your mileage.
Maybe. Actually, like a few days ago before the typhoon, it was a very cool day and I was out running. I said, I am actually fit. I actually feel pretty good. You know, I was running, oh, I feel good. Maybe I'm not as out of shape as I think because with the heat, you're not sure where your fitness is at.
Yeah, I felt really fit when I arrived in Scotland and did a run there, and I realised I was, hardly getting breathless during my runs. I was just breathing at a very relaxed pace, and I'm like, yeah, all my oxygen is going to my legs rather than my lungs. My lungs don't need it as much.
Yeah, it's true. It's crazy.
Yeah. And Chang said he's only had one DNF, which, considering how many races he's done, what did he? Because I'm sure he's DNF UTMB once. So.
I think he said he only had one injury.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Or serious injury. Yeah. He doesn't have many DNFs. I know that.
No.
Like, usually he'll finish the races. I know he was wanting to DNF Hard Rock, but like Hard Rock is one of those races. There's two different ballots, one for people who've never done it and one for people who have finished Hard Rock at least once. And it's much easier to get back into Hard Rock as a finisher than as a person who hasn't finished. So if he did it and didn't finish, he'd have to go back on the ballot with all the other people trying to get in for the first time. So he had that like in his mind, like I just gotta, even though he was having a tough race, I think didn't meet his goals, but he was, I remember him saying that, I need to finish so I can have a better shot getting back in the future.
Yeah, I think he suffered a lot with the altitude there.
Yeah, it's tough.
He only managed to arrive like a day or two before the race, and I learned from Andy that day 3 is supposed to be the worst for altitude acclimatization. So actually day 1 is better than day 3. So you have like a U curve. You feel worse on the 3rd day. So anyone who gets to an altitude race 3 days before or 2 days before, so the race is on the 3rd day, is going to suffer more than somebody who just stepped off the plane and went straight to the race.
Yeah. That's a tough one. Yeah, because Hard Rock goes up to almost 3,500 meters. Or, 4,000, over 4,000 meters, actually, I think, is the highest point. And most of the races over 2,500, I think, above sea level. So it's a tough one, altitude-wise.
Yeah, so, Chang's mentioned that he DNF'd the Two Peaks race because of a fracture. He had a tailbone fracture. That sounds really painful. Have you ever DNF'd a race due to a fracture, Michael?
Backyard ultra, it's hard to count those as DNFs because everyone DNFs except one person.
Yeah.
So I got a fracture in a backyard ultra and had to stop. So I guess it's not quite the same, but similar. Yeah,
Any
fractures are not fun.
Any head injuries?
Yeah, that's true too. That was my first 100K. I think it was in 2018, Saikung 100. 30. I was feeling great. It was after a typhoon, and there was an exposed branch. I went around a corner. My Garmin buzzed the interval, and I looked at how fast my interval was. The next thing I know, like my hat and sunglasses went flying off my head, and I got a branch right in the head and ended up getting 7 stitches. And one of the great race race pictures of all time I got. They wouldn't let me continue. I had my head wrapped in blood coming down my face. I go, let me go, let me continue. I feel fine. But the race director said, nope, you're going to the hospital. We already called the ambulance. So, but then after I got the stitches, I kind of looked at my watch. I was like, I think I have time to get back and still be under the cutoff. But smarter heads prevailed. So I DNF'd that one. So I've DNF'd a few, unfortunately.
I almost had a DNF from a head injury, and the last time I did the Hong Kong 100, which is when I was injured and mostly hiked it, I ran into a low-hanging branch somewhere on the Hoi Ha approach bit, and I was actually texting at the time because I realised, I actually have a chance of finishing this, but then I need some help doing some work I was supposed to do over the weekend. So I suddenly thought I'll text my colleague and ask for help, while I was running on an easy bit and didn't see the branch, and it knocked me completely backwards onto the ground, and then I started cramping everywhere because I landed awkwardly, and I just kind of lay there writhing like a dying cockroach until some runners came along and helped me get up. It was quite
Did
comical.
you continue on?
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit dazed for a while, and then I got to the beach where there were some marshals, and I said, am I bleeding? Because I didn't know if it was sweat or blood that was coming off my head. I was sweating so much. And they said, no, we don't see any blood, you're okay. I was like, okay. Carried on. So, what do you think about his app idea? Do you think that has potential?
Yeah, I like the idea because I have talked to him about it. I like the idea of being able to scan everything you have in your, because that is one of my challenges as well. Like I have an app, we shouldn't be advertising, but it's called Fuel In, which is an interesting one, which based on your Training Peaks plan, it will build a nutrition plan for you every day, including what you should eat before your workout, what you should eat during the workout, what you should eat recovery, and then your meals throughout the day. And it gives you fat, protein, and carb targets, and it gives you sample meals and food to eat. But like whenever you open the meal, it's like some very extravagant dish that you're like, I don't have any of that. I don't know how to cook that. And like I kind of use it as a reference, but I don't follow it religiously. And even you can't take a picture of what you're eating for it to calculate an estimate for your targets. You can just type it and it'll search some stuff with AI based on what you type in, but it doesn't seem so good. So I like the idea of being able to scan what you have and to be able to then, based on your target recovery, what you should eat. And I would say even further as Chang goes on to be able to do that, not just for recovery, but for pre-workout, for regular meals and targets and things like that as well. So yeah, I think it's a great idea, especially that piece about being able to see what you have and then provide recommendations. I think that's a game changer to me. I haven't tried it yet, but if it works as good as Chang's saying, that's I'm excited to get my hands on it.
Yeah, I wonder how it works in terms of scanning. It must be involving some AI or something. I mean, how does it recognize everything that you have in your fridge?
Yeah. Well, technology is incredible these days, so it can do more than you think. He probably is not going to tell us the secret sauce.
Well, it's great that there are so many things on the market now that are personalized, like you can get personalized sweat tests, and I know somebody else is working on personalized hydration and things according to your sweat tests, and it's good to have more options, especially in Hong Kong where the conditions are so tough that everybody wants to have their optimal recovery.
Yeah, it's so important. I still struggle with getting it right. Anything that can help is welcome in my.
I just had a massive buffet breakfast after my run this morning. I'm staying in a hotel in Krakow right now, and this morning was it was my first day, and I literally had every vegan item on the buffet, and it was very good. It was superb fruit and bread, and yeah, I'm sure I got enough of every kind of macro that you could ever hope for. Yeah. And micro as well.
Well, 9 days before your race, so it's never too early to carb load. So, as Andy once told me, your coach and my old coach, in the middle of a 100K, 100 miler, you'll never be too upset with a little extra fat to burn. It'd never be a bad thing having a little extra fat to burn. So get it now.
I might have a little bit too much additional fat. You obviously don't want too many passenger kilos.
Yeah, well, that's all just weight training. You can do it. carry a 10K pack for a week when you're training.
Yeah, that would be really tough, and Hong Kong conditions are tough enough without that extra kilos.
Yeah.
So Chang, of course, had a pacer in the Western States, and that sounds like really fantastic. Of course, you were a pacer for me once in the virtual Hong Kong 100, which was really good. I had a fast finish when you were pacing me, and it was, maybe thanks to your terrible jokes, made me want to go a bit faster, so I didn't have to listen to any more of them.
Easy now. Legendary.
But would you like to see more paces in Hong Kong races?
Yeah, I think the problem in Hong Kong, there's only really 1 or 2 100-mile races, right? So in the U.S., in the 100-mile and the 200-mile races, I don't know of any 100K races in the U.S. I'm sure there are that have pacers. So I've used pacers in the 200-mile races I've done in the U.S., which is great. And to Chang had some comments, and I can attest to it too. I had a good friend of mine pace me, and just kind of getting to that point, seeing him, and then knowing he's with you for the next 20 miles or whatever it is phenomenal. You know, with like things like Hong Kong 100, it's like it's hard to probably put pacers. There's too many people as there is at pacers, but like for a 100-miler, you know, anything that's over 24 hours, I think it's a nice option to have. But for shorter races, I think it's not as necessary, and probably a little bit may slow things down a bit, and a lot more logistics that the race organizers have to deal with. So even like UTMB doesn't have pacers. I think part of it's the number of participants. So things like Western States, Hard Rock, the 200-milers that I do only allow 250 people in as well. So logistically wise, it's not like they're overflowing the aid stations, because they're allowed to get stuff at the aid stations as well. They have to do parking. The rules are like, if you start with your pacer, you have to finish with the pacer. So if the pacer wants to stop halfway, they can't. You have to stop with the pacer. So there's rules like that as well. So you have to start at the aid and finish at the aid, and then they can leave. So there's all sorts of rules with them as well. So you want to make sure you do have a reliable, good runner. In one of my races, I'm not going to name the pacer. It was in the U.S. I had to slow down because of the pacer. He just wasn't experienced enough in the types of trails I was putting him on, although he's a good athlete. It wasn't a big deal because I wasn't trying to, finish top 10 or anything like that. So it was good to have him there, but it did slow me down probably, 10, 20% of what I would have done that section in. So there's a lot to it, but I think for anything that's a 24-hour plus, 100-mile plus, it'd be good to have. So I know Victoria 162 is the 100-miler here. I don't know if there's others, but there used to be Hong Kong 168. I don't think that's going on anymore. But it would be good to maybe have pacers in those, because they're smaller people, number of participants as well.
Yeah, I heard that the Nine Dragons might be allowing pacers for the 50-mile this year, which would be really good because it starts at night. Then some people might appreciate having some company at night.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think running through the night, a lot of people are nervous about that. So that may help motivate or encourage people to do races that go through the night.
Yeah, because it only works in races that are not too crowded. I think you're right. The Hong Kong 100 might be a bit crowded. In the second half it's not too crowded, but still there's the aid stations are quite crowded because a lot of people tend to spend a lot of time in aid stations.
Yeah, and race fees would go up as well, right? Because there's more logistics, more food, more things like that. So you can't do it for the same race fee. So I'm sure having pacers is built into race fees as well, allowing pacers.
Or they can charge you to have a pacer.
Yeah. All the races I've done, they don't charge. It's just it's an option.
Yeah.
But then, again, they're allowed to have the same access that you do to aid stations and medical support and things like that.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to see pacers where it's feasible in Hong Kong. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah. I agree.
So how is your training going at the moment? You're in the middle of a big challenge. Thanks for making the time, by the way, to chat to me, even though you're doing long runs every day.
Yeah. So I'm trying to do the 4 trails, the Hong Kong 4 trails course over 12 days. I was originally thinking 7 or 10 days, but it's just with the heat. It's so hard with the heat to kind of be fully recovered every day. So over 12 days, basically about 25K a day. So I just finished day 4, so I did the MAC in basically 4 days. Basically about 25K a day. Then I start Wilson tomorrow, so then finish in another 8 days from now. But I'm doing it exactly with the Four Trails rules, even the assumption of the no phone rule for next year. So basically, no headphones, no poles, no support, no pacers or crew, no watch. I wear a watch, but I only have the time on, and I have no intervals or heart rate or pace, so I can't see any of that. I just have it on my hand to record it. And I can't tell you the number of times I look at my watch to try to see my heart rate. It's not there. Like, just to record everything so I can analyze it. And then, yeah, I have a phone in my pocket, but I don't use it. So I've done the whole course of Mac without, if I get lost, I have to figure it out. So I didn't get lost at all on the Mac. Luckily, I know it well enough. But it was interesting, though, because as I was going through it, especially today in some of the beach sections, it's not, I know the route, but it's not clearly marked. So if you don't know the course, I was just thinking of someone who has no idea and usually runs with the GPX. There's no signs, and there's multiple ways you can go through the beach sections and things like that. So there's quite a few points. I know them, and there's a few points that are a little confusing, but you can see stuff. So it's an interesting challenge. Also learning how to run, especially in the heat, without looking at your heart rate or your pace or your intervals, and trying to figure out your target pace. And the first day, I think I was actually going too slow. I was holding it back too much, and that can also be a problem, that you're falling behind your target splits because you don't want to, blow up or go too fast. So you pull it back. So you don't really know. I mean, you can have marks say, okay, after the 10K, I should be at an hour 20. And then you can pull out the phone and see I'm at an hour 28. So I'm a little behind. So there's ways to kind of figure out how you're doing in general. But in the moment that you're in, it's really hard to understand. Am I going too fast? Is my heart rate spiking? Am I not pushing hard enough? So it's an interesting little challenge, but it's getting hard with the heat.
Yeah, I think on the Mac though, you probably won't have the problem of going too slow if you're fully rested starting day one. Then it's, unless you run into some kind of pain or injury, then it's hard to go too slow on the Mac, right?
Well, there's so much debris actually from the typhoon that
I mean, when you're doing the Four Trails proper, I mean, on the actual event in February.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I was actually comparing this as I did it these last 4 days to my Four Trails time in 2023. And the first day I was about 10 minutes slower than my Four Trails time. Second day I was about 30 minutes. Yesterday I was about 20 minutes. And today I was about 20 minutes. So I was about an hour 15 slower, even though I did it over 4 days. But just with the heat and the debris on the trails, and I'm going slower because I know it's 12 days on purpose, so it's not apples to apples by any means.
Yeah. Well, the heat makes a big difference.
Oh, it's huge. It killed me at the end today. Yeah. But it's a fun challenge. How about you?
Yeah.
How's the training going? You got your big race in 9 days?
Yeah, I've still got 9 days to go. It feels like it's been brewing for a long time now. I've been travelling for a few weeks. I went to spend some time with my parents in Scotland, and they're actually arriving today in Krakow. We're having a mini break together here as well. I feel really lucky to have so much time off work. I'm a freelance worker, so I can have as much unpaid leave as I want from my job, thankfully. And it's been really great running in Scotland, and I've been able to run on some trails that are more similar terrain to the race. I'm hoping. I have no idea, but I think it's more like rolling hills.
Are you going to recce any of it before the race?
Yeah, hopefully. We're not going to go and stay in that area until a few days before. Yeah, definitely get out and do some hiking on the course. It's strange though, being on vacation for a few weeks beforehand. Then it means I've lost all the adaptation that I had from Hong Kong, and also having more desserts than I would have in Hong Kong, a few glasses of wine that I wouldn't have in Hong Kong usually either. So I'm wondering about the balance of having some time to do long runs on runnable terrain. Does that balance out the negatives of losing the heat training and being in a consistent routine with the diet and strength training? Oh, my strength training has completely fallen off a cliff as well.
Well, we'll see. Maybe it's a secret formula.
Yeah. And I did a 54-kilometer training run a few weeks ago, which was a kind of a birthday celebration run, which if I'd done that in Hong Kong, it would have been a serious slog and taken me a lot longer than it took to do in Scotland. So hopefully that will bear some fruit at some point. But I'm feeling like I'm up against it in this race because although it sounds like quite a nice course with rolling hills, it has some cutoffs which seem a bit harsh to me. Like the overall cutoff is 20 hours for the 102 kilometers. My best time for 100k, which has only been in Hong Kong, is 23 and a half. So it's definitely a faster course than the Hong Kong 100, but it's still got over 4,000 elevation.
Oh, that's no joke. Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm more concerned about is the intermediate cutoffs because they've got cutoffs at 43, 65, and 84, which are quite tough to get under. Like the 65 kilometer one, I think, is 11 hours, and it took me 13 hours to do the Lantau 70. Although that is definitely a slower course. It means I can't really pace it the way I'd like to pace it. I'd like to start slow and maintain the same pace, whereas I'm going to have to be a bit less conservative than usual. Which it's good to try these things.
Yeah. Again, I've done courses where the elevation is like switchbacks and nothing too steep, and you can go 10, 12 minutes a kilometer in some of those sections, even though it's climbing, versus like the Hong Kong elevation can be 20 minutes. So if hopefully the elevation kind is gradual and not steep, and then that makes up a lot of time. Hopefully it's like that with the cutoffs that you're saying, because that seems quite, Hong Kong 100, same length and only 1,500 less. It's 30 hours, right? So that's a 10-hour difference for just 1,000 meters of elevation. That's quite a bit. So hopefully the technicality and the type of elevation is easier.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll do well.
Well, I'm excited to try winning somewhere different and also try and push my limits a bit.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. You never know unless you try.
Okay, well, thanks for giving me your time during your busy training schedule, and
no problem.
It's nice to chat to you. And
best of luck in your race.
Yeah, thank you. I'm enjoying the taper right now.
There you go.
Give Chang a high five if you see him out on the trails.
I'll try to catch him.
All right.
Okay.
See you soon.
See
Bye.
Bye.